Hi, this is Ken, and this is the first video of my new YouTube channel for converting classic Dungeons & Dragons modules and maps into Minecraft. Now in this one I'm working on Keep in the Borderlands. I've also done B1, which is Adventures into the Unknown, and I'll be combining them into the same map. Now what you're looking at is when I originally started working on this and recording these videos, I did not know that there was something called World Painter out there. So I was planning to do this all manually and create an entire map that is something like 3,600 squares in one direction and 5,400 squares in another, north-south. I didn't do that. I figured out pretty quick that World Painter existed. But to start this out, I started building the keep for Keep in the Borderlands, and I was interested in actually placing it on the right portion of the map. So initially I spent a whole bunch of time mapping it out from the 0, 0 coordinates to figure out exactly where it needed to go. Don't worry about that. I've cut most of that out of the video and then just excerpts of the rest. Now for reference, I used the original B2 module Keep in the Borderlands from the early 1980s. Also the Goodman Games Into the Borderlands, which compiles all versions of this, including the latest for 5th edition AD&D. And I've also used as reference the final Return to the Borderlands from Wizards of the Coast from, I think that was 1999. They changed the map there a little bit, but it gives a lot of reference and details that are not in the original game when you're trying to interpret it and put everything in while being consistent to it. Now this video here is going to be just about where I'm at on the actual keep, with a little bit of a highlight from where I'm at on the main area map as well. I have already completed Adventures into the Unknown, Quasiquetan, and I'll have another video about that with a walkthrough of portions of it later. Okay, you can see here an early rendering that I've done. This is the lower portion of the keep. All I've done here is mapped out the floor plan and built a little bit of the walls. For what I've done here, I'm trying to recapture the iconic look that is on the back page of the module. And I'm trying to get that angle right. I'm trying to create that look because I want to create the exact same imagery that I saw and remembered from when I was a kid playing the game. So I'm often going to be backing up there on these videos to see where I'm at, trying to see if I'm getting the frame of reference right, etc. Now that iconic image from the back of the original module is not exactly true to the module. For example, if you really follow the module correctly, there's a lower and a level and an upper level to keep. Only the lower level is shown right here so far, and that upper level is only 10 feet higher. But to do it with the iconic imagery that I originally saw and I've seen in several pieces of artwork, you do have to do a few things differently. Okay, now we can see I've begun to create that iconic look and raise up that second part, and I've raised it up about 25 feet, so the ground level there will end up being 25 feet taller. You can see I'm using some colored blocks. That's to help me measure or develop circles. I use those as temporary blocks for measuring points, sometimes a lot easier. I've been doing a lot of these maps. It's always important because you're converting to Minecraft. 3 blocks equals 10 feet, but the minimum thickness is 3.33 feet when you do that. That makes it a little difficult. So because sometimes walls are thinner. So I always try to lay out the floor first, not the walls, but the floor, so I can get my scales correctly and the distortions appear in areas that you normally don't see. Now I'm doing another swing around here. You can see I've added more. You can see some of the blue where I've measured some various sections. I've began the main castle on the end of this. All of this sets on a giant outcropping of sort of reddish stone out in the plains. Now I'm capturing this here at the beginning of the day because the original image creates that light coming out of the east on the early morning of the castle. At each point you're going to see a little bit more that I've completed. You can see I've added these 2 towers to the center. Now in the original map there's no way to get the exact perspective that was on the original image of that map and stay true to the map. I get it as close as I can, but it's just not possible. That the piece of artwork just is not exact. If you actually look at the original piece of artwork, you're going to see certain towers, like the one right here on the left is actually square in the artwork, but for the actual module it's not square. Now, I tend to make these for doing walkthroughs as a game master of the maps. It's not really intended for an actual, let's play an adventure game in Minecraft. You could do that, but that's way beyond the scope of what I think can really be done in Minecraft. I know you can do a lot with command blocks, but that's really not what I'm doing. Generally, what I'm doing is something where you would have the game master controlling the movement, walking you through, showing you what you see visually on a map, and using that as a playing aid when you're actually running one of these games. So there I am. You can see that. Trying to get directions of different angles, kind of seeing what I can see. Now, one thing I am going to have to do on here, because I raise so much higher for the back, my ramp has to be slanted in such a way that it extends a lot farther as opposed to just the wall. What you're beginning to see here is I have mapped out from my overlay that I kind of been using where the ground is to stay true to the map at a couple of the different levels. In the original icon, you have the upper slopes of the outside terrain and the lower, and I've been mapping those out, those edges in 3 dimensions. I can fill them in later, but once again trying to be very accurate to the actual map in the Dungeons and Dragons game. Now I have wood roofs on the top of these. That's temporary. I was originally thinking that they might be wood floors. I realize they're not. They'll be stone. Those will be changed. I'm working in here, kind of focusing in on well, right back there I was on the religious temple, trying to figure out how that works. Working here on the blacksmith area, which was a inner portion of the keep, perhaps from an older version of the castle. Playing around with some different ways to do the tops of the towers, trying to figure out how they'll look. The inside, they're still hollow. I'll have them all fleshed out at some point. And then we have sort of the drawbridge opening that's going to go over a chasm there in the center. So you see, I haven't really completed anything. I'm just trying different methods and techniques. Now, on that religious temple, there's a problem. It really hooks in way close to that hall, or the wall for the second part of the keep. That's just the way it is. Here's the walkthrough then up to the upper level, the inner part of it. And I think I'll swing around here on the video. Let's see if I do. Yeah, you can see it extends way out into the courtyard. It was the only way to do it and keep this as a 25-foot height difference to recreate that original look from the back of the module. If I only did a 10-foot rise, of course, all of that walkway through that inner bailey area would be enclosed within the inner bailey area. I'm happy with this one little, I'll call it a cheat, just because I really wanted to create that original look. Here it is. You're beginning to see it's really beginning to look a lot like that original iconic image here. Now, of course, I'm laying down torches everywhere. I'm doing this all in creative mode, but it's just, you need to be able to see what you're doing, and it's constantly going through day and night cycles. Pardon me. So, you know, there you go. You're just flying around. You're seeing different sections that I'm working on, playing around with different flooring in there in the stable area, doing a whole bunch of work now on the outside with the chasm and the way the slope builds up around it for this rock outcropping, and then also the gravel or dirt road leading up to it, and building that and sloping that up, trying to keep everything properly in scale, and once again still true to the actual map, and trying to coordinate that to the image of of the map. You see the orange there? Those are my registration marks where I can, if I have to count off from, I can always do that and count off from those as I'm building those. This is the first one of these dungeons or maps that I've actually done in a raw world like this. After that, I've done these in sort of shared worlds, sometimes even in the survival modes. Okay, you're seeing a lot more of the outside getting much closer to completion. I may be tweaking some of this later, adding some grass and some foliage. Right now I'm trying to get the basic materials and the structures and the shapes in place. Playing around, you got some cliff sides there. You can see I've built in some basic skeletal outline of what has to go back around the outside again. Flying over, you can see I've now put in the rooms that actually have basements. I've been digging those out and going down, putting in some basic forms of the building. I'm not really sure at this point how I'm doing some of the roofs in here, or even what material. I'm playing around with materials. Even at the end of this video, I haven't truly decided all the materials that I'm going to be using. I'm trying to sort of figure that out. I've seen one other version that somebody did of this in Minecraft several years ago, and I saw the finished product and I wasn't so happy with it. Okay, so now we're coming back on it. You got the iconic morning image. We're coming on up here. Let's see what we got. Now I have some roofs in place. Getting a little bit happier with them. Still haven't done the chapel. I've done the inside of basically floors and walls of a few of these already, not all of them. Some of these were never defined in the module, others are. Here's the Bailey's Tower. It has actually defined the interior much better in the return to Keep on the Borderlands than it was in the original. I've added some grass out here. Just trying to get a little bit more definition going on here. I still haven't changed the wood out on the top of these yet. So there's kind of what we got going on. Probably using some more dirt and grass on the ground as opposed to this gravel or rock look there as I move towards completion on this. Okay, now you're kind of looking at a quick overview of the larger area that I'm working on. You're seeing the fell fens here with the spider woods in the background. It's a large British Columbia style larch wooded forest area in the back, and then you got these fens, which are a swampy area. A large portion of the overall map is these fens. Here you have portions of the Raven Woods coming down a stream on the southwest portion of the map. Lots of rocky outcroppings up in there. It's a younger forest. The trees aren't quite as tall. Did a lot in World Painter. I'll have a whole nother video on how I've made this whole setting here. It's pretty cool. I'm still waiting for some tools for Minecraft 13 1.13 to be able to import things like the keep into this world. So I have plenty of time to keep messing on this. Here you have a bit of the main road on the main map. You got a few rock outcroppings, and you can see it way off to the left there. You see the Whispering Woods. This is the much larger, older woods section. I've done some different things here with the height of the contours than were in the original module. That's one thing. I came to the conclusion what they originally did was not correct. I'll discuss that in a video where I go over this map in much greater detail. This is just sort of a, hey, let me just sort of introduce you to where this is headed. This is vanilla. There's nothing that's been done with any modding. It's all just straight out of Word Painter. So it's pretty cool. Still going to be some tweaks going, but that's basically what you have.